What do you make of the fact that Phil is not there this week, Alan?
I mean, it's a bummer for all of us. We love watching Phil play the game, and last year's PGA was a transcendent performance and really put an exclamation point on an incredible career. And but the ground has shifted beneath his feet, and I think that Phil is just buying some time to figure out his next move. He's caught between two worlds with the PGA Tour and this new Saudi venture, and he's been heavily involved in the creation of the Saudi league, even as the tour has been this tremendous platform for him to build his brand and over the last 3 decades. And he went from a fan favorite to kind of a heel turn and a little bit of a bad guy, and I know that's got to be disorienting for Phil. So he just wasn't ready to return to public life and answer the hard questions and have to declare his allegiance to one tour or the other. So it's pretty clear that the Saudis and the PGA Tour are going to wind up in court, and the future of that is undetermined. And I think Phil just wants to be on the sidelines a bit longer and see how it's all going to play out.
Well, I don't know. I guess where to start is, because obviously the quote that is in your book that you published in the Fire Pit Collective a couple of months ago that led to your previous appearance here. Greg Norman came out last week and talked about sports washing. I mean, he treated what the Saudi government and everything in the real world that Phil talked about in stark honesty. He talked about it like, you got to move on, and he treated it like a missed 5-foot putt, Greg Norman. How come Phil's getting so much grief for stuff that Greg Norman appears to not?
Yeah, I mean, there is an element of hypocrisy in all this, because many players have gone over to Saudi Arabia over the last 5 years and taken money from the Saudis in appearance fees and then this European PGA Tour event that's played annually. And they've skated, there's a script. And if you stay on script, you're going to be okay, where you just say, I'm here to grow the game, and we're bringing golf to people who haven't seen it, and it's a great vehicle for bettering oneself, and I'm an athlete, not a politician. Everybody rolls their eyes. They know it's BS, and they're just there for the money. But if you stay on script, you can get away with it. Phil said the quiet parts out loud, and he was so blunt, and he was so callous in dismissing the Saudi atrocities. And he also was very, for him to admit, kind of these sneaky backroom dealings against his home tour. That was a big deal as well. So I think it was the double whammy of Phil being too honest, and the fact that he's really in some ways been subverting his home tour. That's why people are outraged. And let's face it, I mean, Phil Mickelson is a huge star. Like Lee Westwood in some ways has become the face of the Saudi Golf League, but he doesn't inspire emotion the way that Phil does. He's not a global figure. I mean, Phil has been one of the best golfers in the world for more than 3 decades. It is unparalleled longevity in any sport. And so what he says just carries more weight, and he's always been a lightning rod. He's always been polarizing, and this is just another controversy in a career that's been full of them.
So what is the future of it? You said that there's a court case coming up, and Phil's waiting to see how everything lands before he reemerges. Is that the scoop?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it hasn't been filed yet, but the golfers like to call themselves independent contractors, but they're really not, because when you sign up as a member of the PGA Tour, which makes you eligible for all these humongous bonus programs and the best pension program in sports, if you want to play in a competing event on another tour that's opposite a PGA Tour event, you have to get permission from the tour. And there's always been a little bit of a dance where sometimes the tour will extract some promises like, okay, you can do that, but you have to play these tournaments over the next few years. And it's always been bothersome to the players, but they accept it because the rewards of tour membership are so great. A bunch of players applied for releases to go play the first Saudi event next month, and the tour took a very hard line and said no. And so now it's one of the big questions in the sport: who's going to break the blockade? Who's going to go over there and play anyway? And they will likely get suspended by the tour, and then there'll be a lawsuit on antitrust reasons. Can the PGA Tour really restrict these players who are independent contractors in theory from playing other tours. And that's why this is such an explosive issue in golf, because it can reshape the entire landscape of the professional game. And it could be a seismic shift in how each of these tours conducts their business. And so there is a heck of a lot at stake for the tours, their sponsors, the players, and every other stakeholder in the game. And so that's why the players have been so upset with Phil. It's not about morality. It's not about human rights. It's that he's doing things that could impact them business-wise. Like, he could be taking money out of their pocket, because if you're a tour member and this competing Saudi circuit becomes successful and it starts attracting, blue chip corporate sponsorship and TV contracts, that's money that's getting siphoned away from the PGA Tour. And now a person to start falling, you're playing for less money, and the superstars might benefit because those are the ones who are being courted by the Saudis. But if you're kind of a rank and file tour member, this could directly impact your livelihood. So the criticism that Phil came under from his colleagues, it wasn't really because they're upset that he's negotiating with these bad actors on the world stage. It's because it could affect their pocketbook.
Alan Shipnuck, the author of Phil, the rip-roaring and unauthorized biography of golf's most colorful superstar, calling into the Rich Eisen Show here. So who obviously we know how the Saudi league would be funded and how Greg Norman is at the forefront of it. Who's televising it? Like, where would we see it if it happens? Like, where would that happen?
Right now, nobody. They're scrambling to try and get TV and or streaming for this first event in June that's being played outside of London. And somebody may take them up on the offer, but that's a piece of the puzzle they haven't figured out. And the Saudis are playing the long game. They have unlimited resources, so it's been a little bit of a dumpster fire to start here. They haven't gotten the big name players they'd hoped. They haven't secured the TV. But the insidious thing about sports washing is that it works, because if they can just get this thing launched, all of a sudden you're going to have some B-list pro is going to go over there, and he's playing for $25 million while the competing PGA Tour event, the person's $8 million. And this is a guy you beat every week, and now all of a sudden he's going to win $4 million for 3 days of work. There's going to be a lot of established pros who decide they want to get in on that action. And so I think the Saudis know that if they can just get this circuit launched and maybe prevail in court, that in year 2 they're going to get bigger and better players, and in year 3 it'll just continue, because you can only express your moral outrage so many times, and then it gets tiresome and people tune you out. And that's why sports washing works, because people just at some point throw up their hands and say, okay, I guess the Saudis have now bought their way into professional golf, like they have Formula One, like they have the EPL, they have big time darts and snooker contests over there. Like, they will do anything they can to launder their reputation by bringing big time events, and it works. That's the problem. So they're not going away. I mean, they have unlimited resources and they have time on their side.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.